welcome back to my mini tour on my game room, and that's because this is a special day. I'm going to try to do one of these every year, just a real quick update. But today is special. Why is today special? Because it is June 9th, 2020, which means 22 years ago, on June 9th, 1998, I went to the Charleston Town Center and purchased my first arcade game, Mortal Kombat 2. So those of you who lived in the Charleston area and visited Fun and Games on the top floor, this was the Mortal Kombat 2 that you played on. And I have had it for 22 years. But anyway, I posted one of these videos about 3 or 4 years ago, and some of you asked me some questions in the comments and in private messages, and I am going to apologize. I didn't get back to anybody, because I am terrible at keeping up with stuff on Facebook. So I will try to answer a couple of the questions that a lot of people asked. But anyway, so this is my game room. One of the main questions was, is it in my house? The answer is no. It is in a outbuilding right behind my house, 12 by 20 foot, that I built specifically for this reason. But yeah, so the answer is that one. The other one is, do you keep the games on? The answer is no, I do not, because one, that is a lot of power. Number two, basically these games are 30 to 40 years old. If you leave them on, they will break. And I have done my best over the past year. I actually ran a test last year where I left them running for basically a month, and almost every single game died. And I had to fix them because I had been neglecting, doing repairs. And I learned all my problems, but we'll get into some of that later. But anyway, so we'll start with a real quick tour of some of the games real fast. So we'll start with the pinball machine. This is my first pinball machine. It was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein by Sega. Has a lot of good, creepy sort of artwork on it. The main toy in this one is a Frankenstein up there that you knock the balls in his hands and he throws them at the glass. Scares the crap out of you sometimes. But very fun game, very underrated. Here is Twilight Zone. This was my second pin, and it's been an absolute nightmare to own. When I got it, it had all kinds of problems, and it took years to fix them. Eventually, as of last year, I finished my last round of repairs after working on it for like 3 years straight, and it has been rock solid since then. But this has been a nightmare. But I love this game. It's a great pinball machine. A lot of you know it, Williams wide body. But anyway, and right here, you cannot have an arcade without some vending machines with sticky hands and tattoos and jelly bracelets and stuff like that. Oh, my games do run on quarters. I do have an old Chuck E. Cheese cup here that I keep some quarters in. I also have these token bags, well, token-like bags, that I have about 20 quarters in. Try to give you that Aladdin's Castle feel for those of you who are all about that. But anyway, that is my original receipt for buying Mortal Kombat 2. Picture of my father and my daughter when she was a baby playing Twilight Zone. My wife getting a high score on Asteroids. Anyway, so here is Ninja Gaiden. This actually, this used to be a Devastator's cabinet. Unfortunately, one of my friends, Jason Spence, his arcade collection was flooded, and he lost pretty much everything in that flood. I was able to scrape apart enough parts that I had laying around to refurb this cabinet, turning into a Ninja Gaiden, which was one of his favorite games. So it has been sitting here in my collection since then. But yeah, so that's Ninja Gaiden. Most of you know the Nintendo one, which is nothing like the arcade one. So I think the only place I ever saw that was in Charleston Fun and Games and Aladdin's Castle in Beckley. Excuse me. All right, here is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This one's special for 2 reasons. One, if you grew up in Beckley and were at Aladdin's Castle, this is the Turtles you played at Aladdin's Castle at the Crossroads Mall. Aladdin's Castle sold it to Showtime Pizza, and when Showtime Pizza was getting close to closing, I made a deal on it because the monitor was failing, and they gave it to me as a good price. So yeah, the second reason this one's a little bit on the special side, because it has both the arcade insides and it has a switcher in it so that I can play all the other 4-player games, like Crime Fighters, The Simpsons, Turtles 2, Gauntlet 2, even Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Some of the 3-player games use 2 buttons. If it uses joystick and 2 buttons, it's in here. And but yeah, I can swap them at any time. But good time. But Turtles always an absolute great classic. This is Atari's Arabian. Bought this in a flooded laundromat. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is a terrible game. It is horrible. So luckily, or unluckily, depending on how you're looking at it, everything on the inside of it was dead where it flooded. It basically shorted everything out and busted the board and the power supply. So I converted this into a multi-cabinet so that I can play other games. Because, yeah, I'm sorry. This plays all vertical games. and it is set up for 2 players, so I can play games like Mercs, or I'm gonna do Contra. So basically, yeah. So if you get bored of a game, you swap it for the next one. So not a bad deal. And who doesn't like Contra? Here is Centipede, and this is all original. Funny story real quick on this one. Justin Martin, for those of you who know him, was a friend of mine who was helping me carry it on the day I bought it up my stairs. It had a brand new monitor in it. The operator had put in it before I picked it up. I had to get a grip, and I asked him, could he hold it? And his exact words were, "I can hold this indefinitely." And he dropped it down the stairs, and it busted the monitor. But that's okay. All's good. We fixed it the next day. You know, I just like to, bring that up to him. All right, this is Street Fighter 2. Everybody obviously knows this game. I just finished refurbing this. I set it up as a Street Fighter 2 artwork because I thought that was the prettiest artwork. And anyway, this is also my main horizontal multicade. So this one I can press the buttons and swap games at will whenever I want to. So I can play like all the different Street Fighters and Mortal Kombats and PAL, Double Dragon 2s, basically several tens of thousands of games on this one. But anyway, that is set up as a Street Fighter 2 right now. I thought it came out really well. Anyway, so here we have Double Dragon. This is my childhood grail from 1987. This game, I still loved this game. I finished refurbing this one, I think 5 years ago. This is a new old stock control panel. Basically, it's from 1987. It's set in a warehouse and somebody found it. Same thing with the marquee, because it's really hard to find the marquee that looks correct. All the ones that people print out are not right. But anyway, so yeah, put some yellow T-molding on it. I thought it looked really nice. But yeah, that is my childhood grail right there. I played that all the time. Anyway, here is my curved marquee Data East cabinet. Most people remember RoboCop and Bad Dudes in this. I have the kits for both. I can swap out the control panel and the marquees and the artwork around it. I have the board already mounted on the inside, so I can swap it really fast. So yeah, but right now I was feeling RoboCop, so I put RoboCop in it. RoboCop's a good game. I don't care what anybody says. Anyway, of course, Mortal Kombat 2, like I said, if you lived in the Charleston area and you went to Fun and Games, this was Mortal Kombat 2. Other funny story about this one, this was the very first Mortal Kombat 2 I ever played. And I still remember to this day, I played as Sub-Zero on the tower stage on the left side. Anyway, yeah, see, that's how sad I am. Anyway, but so, Mortal Kombat 2. Tron, purchased it as an empty cabinet. Tron has a great cabinet. It's very beautiful. Lots of black lights. Cool effect in here. For those of you who can't see it, this is actually back behind this, so you can. Anyway, not gonna lie, Tron's not my strong game. It's very, very difficult. But anyway, beautiful cabinet. I do have some replacement side art for it that I have not put on yet, but me and my wife will tackle that one day. Anyway, here is a original Pac-Man. This was also in that in the Laundry flood, but luckily this one survived. But it has a Miss Pac-Man speed up in it right now because it's a better game. I don't know anybody that can dispute that. Anyway, here is Asteroids. This game has been a nightmare. It's been dead for a year, and I tried all last summer to fix it, and I finally got it to work this year. So yeah, Asteroids, absolute pain. And then we're back around. So for decorations, got some metal signs, some arcade flyers, some old marquees. Did put some RGB clip lights in here just for, some ambiance. X-Wing, streaming stuff from YouTube. Anyway, back here is where you spend 80% of your time if you have an arcade collection. This is all the spare parts. Those are boards I can swap out in the games. Bins full of power supplies and extra PCBs and transformers. Tons of spare parts and connectors, desoldering irons, manuals galore. So yeah, so you spend most of your time in here. So yeah, good times, good times. So that's pretty much it as far as my game room. Like I said, I'll try to answer some of those questions. Like I said, the one person asked about, is it in my house? No. Outbuilding, do I leave them on? No. Trying to remember what else there was. Can't remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, sorry. A lot of people ask, do I recommend them buying a pinball machine or an arcade machine? Well, let me go over this really fast. Pinball machine, the market today, these are super expensive. And I mean many thousands of dollars. When I got into the hobby 22 years ago, they were not that expensive. People were almost trying to get rid of them. And they were all busted and broken, but now people know how much money they can make by fixing them. So just real quick, if you have the money to buy one, you can buy brand new ones by Stern Pinball. Straight from the factory. They're made of new parts. They'll last you many years, hopefully. If you're going to buy an older one, though, be aware, you will have to learn to repair it. You will have to learn to do troubleshooting and fixing on pinball machines. These break down daily. It could be small things from rubbers breaking or, light bulbs or anything like that, but still, this stuff breaks down constantly because it's mechanical. I mean, things are smashing in. You got a giant ball bearing smashing into plastic and rubber pieces. So, if you want one, power to you, but be aware you will learn to fix it. If you're going to buy a classic game like Asteroids or something, if you're looking at something like this, I suggest no. Do not purchase an Asteroids. Asteroids are notorious for failing. The boards themselves fail, and the vector monitors, they're easy to repair up until a certain point, and then you get to the point to where you have to cannibalize another game to fix a part of it. So just be aware. If you want Asteroids, I say don't get it. Don't get an original. They have those arcade one-ups. Have fun with that. If you're wanting something like a Miss Pac-Man or a Pac-Man, these, believe it or not, rock solid. I have had very little problems out of anything in dealing with these, but the warning I still give is you will need to learn something about monitor, PCB, electronic repair. Multicades are great. They're really easy to set up. If you want to use MAME, which is a lot more more difficult to set up, especially with a front end like Hyperspin. Like here, I'll give you an idea. So, like here on this one, I hold the one player button, hit second player, it changes to a menu, and this is how I have it set up. Where I can tell it I want to view my favorite games. This is a front end for MAME called Hyperspin. So like I can change it to any of the other games, and I have basically all the ones that I loved as a kid in here. But basically, you select the game and away you go. So these are another option if you want the arcade experience. Like it still takes quarters. They're the arcade ROMs. But yeah. So that's it. Sorry if I bored some of you with this long video. It's a little longer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah. So once again, I have to give a shout out to Jason Spence, R.M. McCollum, and David Shrewsbury for helping me 22 years ago pick up that cabinet from the Charleston Town Center. I thank you gentlemen very much, and maybe one day you'll be able to play it again, because I don't think we've all seen each other in decades. But anyway, hope everyone has a great day, and thanks.